thousands of people at airports overnight rushing to beat the travel ban, waiting online for hours. You can see them here in close proximity. One assumes, coming back from Europe, some of them have the coronavirus. As an infectious disease doctor, are you troubled seeing this?
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to not see crowds like that. I mean, I think what people need to understand, if you're an American citizen, if you are a family member, that you can get back. You don't need to rush back. You'll be able to get back. But it's understandable how when people see a travel ban, they immediately want to hunker and get home. Hopefully we don't have more of that, but I think we probably, unfortunately, will see that.
And is that a problem in terms of the spread of the disease?
I mean, obviously, whenever you have crowds, I mean, that's the thing we've been talking about and that we really want to implement, is to have that kind of social separation. That is countermanding that, and hopefully that people will understand you don't have to rush back.
And to what degree is it on the airports to prevent that and not have those big crowds of people waiting for hours?
I don't know, Chris, what the airports can do about that, to try and encourage people, to tell them that if you are an American citizen, you will be able to get back. It's not going to be a problem.
This is Fox News' Chris Wallace discussing the run on the airports that occurred this weekend in the aftermath of Trump's televised address announcing that all travel between the United States and Europe would be suspended as of Friday night. Now, Dr. Fauci says that the most important thing for people to understand is that if you're an American citizen, you'll be able to get back.
People need to understand, if you're an American citizen, if you are a family member, that you can get back. You don't need to rush back. You'll be able to get back.
See how easy that was? And yet the reason those crowds existed is because, for as easy as it was for Dr. Fauci to explain it to Chris Wallace, it seemed to be equally as difficult for Trump to explain it when he addressed the entire nation and set off this panic.
To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight.
Only all travel to the U.S. from Europe wasn't suspended. The Homeland Security Department had to later clarify that the policy applies to most foreign nationals traveling from 26 specified countries and not to U.S. citizens or permanent residents. And Europe couldn't clarify any of these policies either because, surprise, the White House didn't bother to consult even one European official. In other words, had Trump been focused, had his speech been vetted, had his messaging, for once, been clear, he wouldn't have created the exact situation he was trying to avoid by implementing travel restrictions in the first place. But instead, airports around the country turned into petri dishes, effectively negating the whole purpose of the travel ban in the first place. I mean, seriously, look at this airport and tell me that if one person sneezed, everyone in the room would be fine, because that's not a chance I'd be willing to take. And by the way, it wasn't just his lack of clear messaging with regard to airports. In that same televised address, Trump mistakenly said that all trade and cargo between the US and Europe would be halted, which was wrong. And he said that all co-pays for treatment of coronavirus would be waived, which was also wrong. And that's just in one address. And then consider the monumental fact that when he should have been warning people to stay home and practice social distancing, he was actually holding rallies and using words like hoax.
And this is their new hoax. But, you know, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We're doing great. Our country is doing so great. We are so unified.
But when you have a president who doesn't know what he's doing, whose sole priority is downplaying everything so that the markets don't tank and deprive him of a talking point in the next election, who declined the WHO test that would have allowed us to know who had it and quarantine them earlier, well, then this is the situation that we're left with. Chaos, confusion, and panic. And it is the direct result, once again, of the dangerous lack of leadership coming out of the White House. Luckily, we have mayors and governors stepping up to fill the void left by this administration. But without a strong and clear mandate from the federal government, the unfortunate truth is that it's going to be next to impossible to contain this. And every day that goes by makes it that much worse. Which is why it's especially unfortunate that for weeks, conservative media opted not to be responsible about this, but rather run cover for Trump and downplay the impacts, laugh it off as yet another instance of Democratic hysteria, or claim that the evil socialist Democrats were just looking for another way to hurt Trump. Which, I have to say, is ironic considering that had he listened to those crazy Democrats screeching about coronavirus, he'd have actually come out of this a star. Instead, he was defiant and combative, and look how far that's gotten him. For the sake of the American people's health, my first hope is that the White House can figure out how to get their messaging straight and finally put the experts' advice over coddling Trump's ego. And my second hope is that we're never put in a situation again where actual lives depend on the judgment of Donald Trump.